welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We were back. Yeah, I think it's sort of a banger. I'm not gonna lie. For it being a YouTube song, it's sort of do be hitting. I think we can rock with that as an intro. Why not? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are here for the first ever episode of The Creatives. This is going to be a podcast by creatives for creatives. So I've been really meddling around with this idea for probably the past year. I've been really inspired these last few months, especially with my job. I travel around everywhere, sometimes 300 plus miles a day. So I've been really invested into podcasts. I've been really just enjoying the concepts and the depth that goes into them. So now we're going to be getting into it. So the premise of The Creatives is basically we're going to have a new creative on each episode every single time, telling their story, where they came from, what they're doing now, sort of what inspires them on every single day basis. Today we have one of my best friends, somebody I've known for 10 years. 10.
We'll say 10.
We're going to say 10.
It's easier to draw a line at 10.
Honestly. This man has done everything from photographer, videographer, video editor, and now author, professional writer. You do have a list of accolades there.
I was thinking about this morning, because me and Nick talked about recording the podcast yesterday, or late last night. I don't know how to describe myself anymore. At one point, I would have said photographer or videographer. Those are both fine. Mm-hmm. At one point, I would have said editor or producer, because Silverage, I did a lot of
Revolt.
Setting up the background. Revolt. It was I was on top of audio stuff and lighting, and I was still editing then as well.
Yep.
I basically made myself a Swiss Army knife by accident, and now there's just no title that works anymore. And that sucks when you're applying for a job, because you're I have 5 years doing all of this, but
I can't
how do
classify
I put a
myself.
label on it? Yeah.
I'm in everything. It's what can you do? What do you need me to do?
I literally applied this morning, and I was here's my resume, here's my cover letter. I have so much more experience than this, I just don't know where to put it.
Honestly.
Please just talk to me. I have references, examples. I'll do anything.
You want me to do something right now? Give me the stuff. I'll create it for you. What do you need? What do you need?
There was one dude who asked me, hey, could you write a script? And I was I probably could. I've never done it, but I know enough about it.
It's so simple.
I love film and all that stuff, and I'm already a creative writer, fiction writer, non-fiction writer now. I guess I've been publishing some essays and stuff as well. I'm all over the place.
You really are. Especially now, you're primarily just a writer.
It's mostly just writing.
Yeah, that's still really cool to see. And I know you're working on, how many books are you on right now?
This is the curse, is that I get really into something for 5 months, and that's not enough time to write a book. Mm-hmm. Unless you're Stephen King, who apparently these days just one drafts his books. He just writes them and is no need to go to editing, and just sends them through. And I guess I would assume whoever publishes them does do a round of edits, but
who's gonna tell Stephen King nah, this isn't good? Yeah. Nobody.
Yeah, at that rate, you're his edits are literally oh, that was a typo. Oh, he forgot a period.
Real
those kinds
grammatical.
of versus a new author where you're oh, this part of the book doesn't work and the pacing's off, and no, for someone like that, I'm sure 5 months is here's 3 books.
Easy. I couldn't imagine. Just imagine being a publisher and be it's been a couple of months since I heard from him. I wonder what he's gonna bring. Yeah, here's 4 books, each already done. Take a look at them. And you're
plus, he does all these short stories and stuff as well. That's the level that I want to get to where I can just show up to the publisher and be I was gone for 3 years. Here's everything you need.
Right. That'd be insane. But I think one of the premises, things that we're going to be doing on the show, we're going to be talking about the background. Where'd you come from? You do have a decent amount of history. Actually, musician is one of the ones that we forgot on the.
Yeah, that's another 5 years of that.
It's interesting. All our friend group, we really have our basis of everything creative bases off in music itself. So
that's so strange,
isn't it though? It's interesting. Tell us about where you came from. Where did you start?
So as far as it concerns the creative stuff that I do now, anything that's been involved in music or editing, all of that stuff really started for me, I guess, I guess elementary school when we
Yeah.
when they would teach us to play the recorder. The first time that I did something cool sounding on a recorder, I was like, hey, I kind of like music. But then none of the regular instruments really caught my eye. I tried sax for a little bit. I played trombone for like 2 minutes and was like, this is too much. I'm not good enough for this. But my brother, when I was in like middle school, joined the high school drum line. And I was like, oh, we used to just randomly beatbox around the house all the time. So I saw him playing a marching bass, which is just this huge, thumping, big sound. And I was like, I like that a lot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then that kind of piqued my interest as far as drumming goes. And we'd both been fans of like metal bands from my dad and all of that. He was really into like the 80s metal sound. And so like big shredding guitars and drums were like our thing. And then as I got into rap music and hip hop in like the early 2000s, rhythm became really interesting to me. And then I joined the drum line, was there for 4.5, 5 years, depending on how you count it, I guess, maybe 6. It was a long time.
It was quite a while, yeah.
I was in middle school when I joined the high school group for about a year, and then all 4 years of high school, and then I did some stuff after I graduated as well, so 5 to 6 years. And then that introduced me to you, it introduced us to Brian, and a bunch of other friends who then just funneled us forward into this life where we go to college and meet a bunch of other really creative, musically talented people, even after I dropped out of music. That point, sports journalism. I worked for the newspaper.
Yeah.
So that's where the writing starts.
It's interesting where everything is sort of like, comes like full circle. Almost,
Yeah, you see
right?
like one little thing spread a seed. Like we were watching gaming videos, 2009? Like I distinctly remember coming home in like 2009 and getting on for the first time on Modern Warfare 2, joining into a lobby, because I didn't know you that well at the time, but I got into a lobby. It was you and Blake and
Brian.
Brian, Jacob, I think my cousin Dustin was in there.
Dustin was in there too, yeah.
Yeah.
Dakota?
No, Dakota was all about Halo at the time.
Respect it. Solid choice.
But I remember getting in, and you all were recording for a montage. Like, you were preparing like the first montage of like that era. Vital was the
Vital Snipe. Hop.
Yeah. And I remember sitting down and being like, oh, these are the friends that I've always wanted. I love this shit. This is like where I belong. And then over the next year or so, we would play more often. I would see you guys in school. And then it just kind of fell in from there. It was like we're all just interested in similar things. So we just kind of kept in the same social circle. You were in band. Blake, I was only playing games with, but like because he was hanging out with you and Jacob, I could play Halo and run into Jacob and be like, oh, hey, like, nice.
Yeah.
And then not realizing, like, oh, that's Blake. And then playing Modern Warfare 2 game battles matches and very, very nerdy stuff back then. It still is, honestly. But, like, we just kept running into each other. And then that just happened again in college. We made friends where I was like, I like that person. And then they were just around all the time. And it's like, okay, we absorbed a person. And we're growing. Like, we're Voltron. We're becoming the 5-headed beast that we needed to be.
It's so interesting, like, how our friend group has, like, either added person or somebody's left to go do their own thing. It's like we've grown and changed and whatnot. Our group is, like, pretty wide at this point, to be honest.
That's the thing that I love the most about my life, really, is that we've kept, in my social circle, mostly the same 4 to, like, 6 people at all times, just in varying levels of influence. And then people who have been a part of that, people who I consider great friends, will bounce out for a little bit and we won't hear from them, but then they'll come back and it's like, we were just rocking the whole time. Me, you, and Brian, particularly, like, coming to school.
Yep, us 3 primarily, whenever we were, homeless homies.
Yeah, homeless homies. Me and Nick literally didn't have a place to live for a summer, and we just vibed it out.
Dog. We scrounged for quarters, we scrounged for microwavable meals. That was a time. I think that's like a whole podcast in itself, honestly, just to talk about the homeless
that
section.
Experience. We could document like every day of that summer.
Honestly,
in our own like spin-off from this, the Homeless Homies podcast.
And whenever Brian was getting ready to head off to Marion, we were just both like, what are we going to do? that was like a stressful like couple of weeks there.
His mom had to be sick of me. I know she was. I was there every day for like 3 years, and I didn't even have home problems at that point. I was just there all the time. Mm-hmm. And then the problems came, and I moved in.
And she's like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm sure it was just like, oh dear God, let me out.
And then like I got added to that mix probably, what was it, like 2 months later? I think.
Yeah, it was like a month or something. I think you were having like signs of trouble, and then mine came like really suddenly. And then within like a week or two, it was just like, I guess we live at Brian's now.
What are y'all doing today? Well, we're going to probably run some game battles. Like that was fun though. I'm not gonna lie. Like in game, like solid communication, easy communication. Something's going on. Just scream in the other room. He's one shot on stairs. When was it? That wasn't Black Ops 2. That was was it? No,
that would have been
because
I want to say that Ghost was the game that was out, but we were playing like Black Ops 2 and MW3 and that stuff anyway.
We were not fans of Ghost.
No, yeah, none of us really played, or maybe I don't. Yeah, that's such a mixy time. I don't remember.
It really was.
To be honest, I do know. Later that year, we were still playing BO2 for sure.
Oh yeah,
because I remember my girlfriend texted me in the middle of a game, and I just like straight bailed on Tyler and Brian. She only lived like 2 streets away, so I was just like, guys, we're up 2 maps. We only need to win 1 more.
Peace.
Good luck. God bless. Hope you have fun. And they were like, what are you doing? And I was like,
there's a thing that's happening.
I have to bounce.
What are you doing? I'm playing some game battles. Well, come over. My parents aren't home. 3-piece, head on out.
I finished the round and was like, how do I say this? I don't. And I just like put the controller down and just like started heading to the door. And they were like, what are you doing? And I was like, gotta go. Duty calls. That was fun. We'd show up and she's like, hey, what? You're here fast. You weren't busy? And I was like, not really.
I got Godspeed. What can I say?
That was such a wild time.
It really was. Like just Fairfield in itself was just so many interactions.
To get back on track a little bit, as far as the creative journey stuff goes, I was a drummer for 5 years. Exiting my senior year of high school, I did a bunch of like community bands and like honor bands and all of these like extra things that as a musician you like are supposed to do if you want to like go on and become a professional, and great steps. Like a lot of the people we were playing with in these community bands were like very established musicians. These people were incredibly good at their job. Like, we ended up playing like one piece that had only ever been played like one other place, in New York or something.
It was like post premiere. It was like the second.
Yeah, we were like the second wave of people to get to perform it.
Because I remember,
and we showed up like 2 days. We only had 2 days of rehearsal with that group. We had like one Friday, the next Friday, and then the performance day.
And for everybody who's not a musician, like preparing like music isn't just doing it at home. Like you can learn all the reps that you want at home, but once you get into like the setting, you have to figure out how you mix and meld with everybody, like how everybody else takes the tempo, tuning. There's so many fine like requirements that go into it. So having only like 2 days is
because like technically it's 2 weeks of practice, but like in that same time we had my high school what's the word, like an end of year concert. Like that was our big focus, so that was where most of my time was going. And I was in another community band, the brass band at Indiana University Southeast, and so like I was learning music for that
one. Our band teacher, she always told us about like the range, the level that y'all were playing at.
It was insane. I would get parts and be like, I can
look at this and I can.
Thankfully, the second one, because you were there for that concert, right?
For the first concert, I went to the first concert.
You went to the first one. That's right. So that was the one that I thought was ridiculous. That one had the hardest music out of anything I've played still today. The second one was more relaxed, I guess. I think they knew us, and so they were like, oh, they're actually doing what they're supposed to do. And so we were able to kind of learn it on our own, and it wasn't like under the fire of the director the entire time, someone being in front of us like 2 high school kids and me and our friend Robbie, who were just back there like making it work amongst all these other very good musicians. And then the second time they got some help for us, so there were other people filling in the back, and it wasn't as stressful. But I got out of that experience between our high school stuff, both of those other bands, and the honor band clinics, which is where in high school you take trips to universities and stay and practice for a couple of days. We did those. I mean, I think I did 4 that year on top of the other stuff.
Because it was WKU. You
I did Moorhead, Murray, WKU, and then I auditioned for a 4th one, and I think it got canceled. I think that's what I was
NKU was...
So we did a bunch that year. That was the most that we had done up to that point. So
because I remember you all sent me a Snapchat of one of the hotels y'all stayed at, and it looked immaculate.
That was WKU. That happened. Louisville was at that same time.
Okay.
So I auditioned for Louisville, got into I think both of them, and then chose to go to Western because we hadn't been there before, and I was like,
might as well go.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
That was just an incredible.
I bet you're happy you chose that one.
Yeah, that one was great. I don't regret that at all. Met some cool people who eventually ended up coming to Murray State as well, and so like we became friends, and just wild how it all works out. Mm-hmm. But
I think there's been so many times, especially on campus, whenever we were both going at the same time, we would run across somebody at I don't even know, it was like a band event or something. Somebody would be like, I saw you at like this band concert like such and such years ago, and you're like, what band were you in? Blue Band? So was I.
Absolutely. What's his name? Ben Mullins has my last name. I think we were in Blue Band here at Murray together. Yeah. I think that was the one. And then we met again on campus a couple years later. He's like, I think I already know you. And I was like, do you? He was like, yeah, you're Alec, right? And I was like, who? He's like, I'm Ben Mullins. And I was like, waves of memories I didn't even know I had. Yeah, I remember now.
This is a core memory. It's so fun unlocking those, and you're like, oh, wait a second. I remember this.
We did a lot of music stuff, and that was even the year before, because you're a year older than me. That's important to state. So you were doing a bunch of like clinics and other like music related stuff while doing the gaming and video producing and all of that. And I was like, cool, if Nick can do it, I would like to as well. I just didn't have some of the material and equipment and stuff. So I was like, I want to get in on that. So like my eyes were set on that while I was doing music. And then fast forward through some maybe not so great months for everybody.
Yeah,
right after I graduated,
14,
end of 2013, top of 2014, or was when you graduated? 2014 into 2015.
Yep.
Was not so great for me. Fall of 2015, we end up at Murray State together as roommates. Long time coming, should have happened beforehand, but
the late night conversations we had, they were those were some top tier moments.
Incredible stuff. I can't say it on the podcast, but I thought about something the other day and just howled to myself. When I knocked on the door and was like, you have 5 minutes. I'm coming to get my backpack. Can't go into specifics, but...
Character B. Our RA.
There's too much... There's so much history in these like moments, but...
Actually, we should make an episode of this, like where we get all of it, all 4 of us. Brian, Jimmy, and just the Lizzo files.
It would, the Lizzo files is like our version of 60/50, 100%. I could think of other people to go talk to about that time that could inform that, and I would love to, but I don't know that it's safe because we were wild. But as far as it relates to the creative stuff. By the time we got there, I was done with music. I was burnt out. Yeah. I had auditioned for like 5 schools. Western Kentucky said that they wanted me and that I could take a partial scholarship, but I knew that would mean 4 years or more of music, and I just wasn't ready to do that. Chose to come to Murray State, pay it out of my own pocket. Bad decision, but gave me the most fun like 5 months of my life in fall of 2015. But at that point, I was already thinking about writing and how I wanted to apply it a little bit. Like I think I was looking that writing was what I wanted to do more so than sports journalism. But because I understood sports so well, sports journalism was the easiest way in.
Yeah.
It was less intimidating than like, hey, I want to apply for your creative writing program. That seemed daunting because I hadn't written any of my own stuff in years at that point. And so after some time in the newsroom and working for the Murray State newspaper, that was like, okay, don't want to do that either. That's not working. Back to square one. Ended up having to take time off school because I couldn't afford to go back. Moved to Murray at the start of that fall semester of the next year.
111.
To 111, High Rothgar.
High Rothgar.
And that's where it really starts to branch out like, because before that, it was really just like music and writing. Those were the two things that I had done. We get to High Rothgar, and it's like music, writing, photography creeps in. I'd been doing a little bit of it before I moved there, but as a group, we all got more interested in photo and video work. And then videography really starts to creep in there. I did some promo videos for friends. I did a wedding. I did senior recital pictures for our music friends. Did a whole lot of stuff that just kind of built this base of skills. I was editing our own content.
Yep.
So, like, I was learning the Adobe suite. While at the same time, I was editing pictures that I was taking earlier, like, in the week from when we shot content. I would take pictures of us, or I would take pictures of product stuff, and learning how to color correct and how to edit photo. And it very quickly compounded into, like, oh, I'm building, like, a skill set. And then we started, like, espionage really, like, kicked off.
Yep.
That was the first group that was all four of us, me, Brian, Jimmy, and you.
Had, like, two solid episodes out of Blueprint.
We were filming a documentary series about it. We got, like, 2.5 solid episodes, but really it was just, everyone liked doing it. It was just, we all got busy.
Yep.
Everyone started working. There wasn't enough to... If one of us was working, that meant a quarter of the content was missing, basically.
Yeah.
So there wasn't as much to go off of, and if two of us were working, now we're chopped in half. And most of my content at the time was creating the other content. So we're already down a significant portion. I'd be in everybody else's videos, or in their streams, or whatever, but I wasn't doing a whole lot for myself, because I was mostly just acting as, like, the producer for the whole thing. Everyone gets busy, there's nothing to produce, I'm not producing content, now it's down to 0.
Oh, yeah.
It stays that way for a while, honestly.
Yeah, and it was super hard balancing that, because Jimmy was still doing music education. I was still doing music education. That was also Homeless Homie Season 2. I was also trying to balance, like, work and everything with that.
Oh, yeah, to mention that, like, we were both we weren't even officially living in this apartment. We were on the couch in the living room.
The fact that we got away with 2 years on...
we might be criminalizing ourselves.
No, it's what they don't know.
Statute of limitations, I don't know. We said the apartment number already.
You got a good point. I mean, this is about, like, 5 years ago. 4 years ago? 3. Can they...
Closer to 3.
Closer to 3. Different company now, though, so technically, like...
Where we're at now, completely legal. We'll say,
yeah.
we both actually live in the same owned complex. They're across the street, or down the street from each other.
Yep.
But we're back in the same area, completely legally. For the record.
Legally.
We don't approve of our actions from before.
No. It was what was needed, though. Wait. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Did you do a pause? Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And let me do a reset of the video.
Yeah.
There we go. All right, cool. So I had to reset the video real quick. So
just the video feed. It'll be fine. You didn't miss anything.
We were like
clearing the air a little bit.
Dumbfounded. But just we can probably delve off of that one. That can be another Lizzo Files episode.
Yeah, we could get into that when it's a more personal thing. As far as it relates to our journey and, like, what I do. Basically just spun out from there. We've tried a bunch of different content stuff from there, and I've continued just employing those same skills. I've been editing, I've been producing, lighting, all of that. Anything that you could think of. Setting up backdrops, deciding what backdrops to buy.
Yep.
And then all different kinds of content, honestly.
Especially...
At the time, Jimmy was running his gaming channel. And now that's kind of transitioned more into, like, movie news and pop culture, I guess is the right way to say that. And that led to a time where I was like, okay, we could do more with this. So we created our own, like, breaking news media called Silverage Media, where we bought a whole new set, transformed that same apartment living room into a full production set every day for weeks by ourselves. It was just me and Jimmy. I mean, our roommates helped, but, like, largely it was just me and Jimmy setting up every day, tearing down every day, moving couches and tables and everything. Like, we truly put on, like, a full studio and recorded these videos. We had done more stuff with, I guess, espionage. Like, had a small moment where it was, like, starting to pick back up for a second. And then I think we realized that, like, in its current format, it was just never going to work. We needed to, like, restructure it. And so, like, as we're doing this, like, news and movie and pop culture thing, you start working on Revolt and bringing up those ideas. And, I mean, shout out.
Shout out to the brand.
The brand is strong.
Was.
It it was just a really wild time, because in between all of this, even when it seemed like there was nothing getting done on like that side of things, when there was like no creative stuff coming out of me, or I wasn't posting anything, at the same time, like I would be going out with you for photography or like video shoots videos, or anything like that. Like we were still working, just kind of silently doing stuff the whole time. It was like never like it really stopped. There'd be like a couple of weeks where it was everyone's working and it's just not coordinated, but individually, like I was still going out and shooting, or I was editing, or I was designing, or writing, whatever. Or then 2018 I pick up writing and like really get into it heavily as well. Like there's just, you can see the arc where it just goes straight up as terms of like how we're
working our output,
how we're putting ourselves online, really, like how we're advertising ourselves and what we're doing. And this whole time there's this bubble that's like building up. Like you're getting better incredibly fast at the video and editing and all this, like, because I think for a while you set the example when we very first started making content. We were like, Nick has been doing this, Nick knows what he's doing, that's like the gold standard for our friend group. If we can make videos as good as Nick's, we're set.
Which I appreciate that too, by the way.
Yeah, it was like that was honestly like especially when Jimmy and I started making like gaming stuff on his channel, like when I was helping him get into that, he did a lot of it on his own. But anytime we collaborated, my thought was, I know what's worked, I know what I've enjoyed, particularly from Nick's lead. Let's try to do more of that. And then that still comes up again, like when I was making like the nerd news stuff, I'm like, Nick was making documentary commentary, or not commentary, but like documentary footage at the time, and editing and building, structuring a documentary, Road to Optic and all of that stuff. I was like, I'm watching all of the stuff that you're constantly putting out, and I'm like, that's real fucking good. Like now I'm self-conscious about like the fact that like we're working together and Nick's getting better and better. I was like, I have to put in the energy, I have to put in the effort to like make sure that across the board we're that good. And so like that starts to drive me to do more video and photo stuff.
See, it's interesting too, because I would see like, especially whenever I started getting into my photography, I would see like the work that you put out, especially like that one wedding photo with Daniel. It's still one of my favorite wedding photos.
I cannot believe I'll send it to you if you want to put it up or whatever. Yeah. I think I still have it somewhere. I was completely blind when I took that picture. The sun was here in my face. I looked through the lens of the camera and like I was flashbanged, and I was like, snap! Oh no! And I just held down, knowing that my settings were good, and just hoped I was getting the framing. This is a moment like you can't recreate. This is not something I could ask them to do again or anything. It was like this. I either get it here or I've blown it, and I nailed it. Thank God.
Yeah.
But it just, when I got back home to review that, I was like, because I truly, like, it took me like 10 seconds afterwards to be able to like, whatever, Taylor Grady was there. And I was staring at Taylor and only seeing purple blotches and not a face. And I was like,
what's happening? What's going on?
Oh, this is not good.
Yep.
I have a job to do. Oh shit.
It's like the worst thing in the world, like trying to take photos and important events happening. You're just like, I can't see what's going on. Wing it.
Earlier that week I was shooting for a friend and the wind blew a leaf like into my face right as I was taking a picture, and it like cut my cornea. I was like, oh, ow, what the hell was that? And I went and got looked at, and they're like, it'll heal, you'll be okay. I think they added like a salve or something like around the corner of my eye.
Probably like one of those fat ass like leaves that fly around everywhere.
Yeah.
Dude, those things will come and smack you in the face without a second thought, so it doesn't surprise me. Like,
and I had to wear a bandage for like a couple of days, I think, or something, but like, yeah, it was just
like the fact of the matter. Like,
yeah, it was just, I couldn't see out of my right eye, and then still had the wedding to do that weekend. Thankfully, I was completely fine by then. But then to also get blinded by the sun, it was just like so much is working against me right now. But yeah, those moments of like, I remember watching, I think it was the commercial that you did for Jerky XP.
Yeah, that was fun.
I was like, I helped you shoot that and stuff, but like when you brought me the final edit, I was like, oh damn, Nick is really like figuring this thing out. And even though I'd been working, it felt like I gotta really like lock in, because if I can do something that helps Nick make it, that's excellent. That's only going to help all of us. And at the time, it was like you were doing everything right, so I was like, yeah, I'm not going to fuck this up. Like, if I can help in any way, if I can learn more about how to set up a shot or run a camera or settings or whatever, that's my goal now. When Jimmy would ask me editing questions, I was like, I don't know that I know how to do this, but I will figure it out for you, because he was constantly grinding the whole time too. As far as work ethic goes, like, I had the best example literally living in the apartment with me.
Yeah, that's all I'll say about that for Jimmy. Jimmy, like, no matter all the ups and downs that's happened, he's literally just grinded his ass off these last, I think it's been like
4 years?
Ever since we've gotten together, like 2016, 17, so it's been like 4 or 5 years. He's just been going strong.
We moved in August of 2016. I think he started making gaming content the next summer.
Yeah.
Because I was at Brian's house when he put out his first montage.
That's right, because his montage was the first ever thing he ever did.
Yeah. And so that was like 2017, and he hasn't stopped since then. There have been weeks where like he can't get out as many videos or whatever, but he's largely been doing something this whole time.
And that's like one of the greatest things about our friend group is like ever since we've all been together, like all of us are like each raising the standard, and then somebody else is like, oh shit, I gotta make sure to follow suit. Like we all like.
Yeah, it's like we were just elevating each other. And that's why I've done so many other things. Is like sometimes one of you guys will just come ask me to do something that I have no idea how to do, but I do it one time and I'm like, oh, I start to see how it all works. Yeah, it's like, so I'm just gonna learn everything that I can, and we're gonna make this great, and that's just gonna be what it, like. I didn't know how to run or set up a podcast. We've recorded like 5 of them over the last, I don't know however many years, 4.5, 5. We tried to record one in Lizzo during those days.
We did. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was like
memory.
Yeah, it was, we truly had no idea. We had no idea what we were doing at all. It was just run and gun, try to figure it out, lawlessness. So to look at that, and then to look where we are now, I've run maybe next week with Jimmy. I'm on Dropped Frames with Josh, CV, and Chris.
I hear that every now and then. It's so... I love like listening to podcasts, like listening how you all talk about like those movies.
It's video game movies, basically. It's the whole premise.
Y'all talk about Sonic.
So good. That's our first episode, and it was incredible. I love it so much. But yeah, now I'm on 3 or 4 podcasts regularly, adding this one to the mix.
Yep.
I've been in your videos, I've been in Jimmy's videos, I've been in Brian's videos.
You really have been one of the people who's just been everywhere, let's be honest.
Yeah, I've been my best to be a glue guy. If someone's like, I don't know what I want to do next, I'm like, here's an idea. I'll film it with you if you need someone to help get it started.
It's that producer in you.
Yeah, it's like whatever I can do to make everyone else better or get them started on their own. I believe in us so damn much that like every time someone has a new idea, I'm like, that's the best idea I've ever heard. Yep. Yes, you should be doing that. Jimmy's Star Wars channel, I haven't had to help him with anything in that. Really, I mean, even in the editing, he's been doing it all on his own. He hasn't asked me for anything but opinions. Like, does this intro look better than this one? Does this picture look better than that one? Happy to do all that. But on the technical side of things, I've done nothing for him. But every time he brings it up, like, oh, I should record this or I could do that, I'm like, yes, do that, and here's why. And like, I always try to keep everybody, because even when I'm not writing is hard as hell to motivate yourself to do, and that's what I've been doing recently. That's been my main thing. I just wrote 1,500 words in my current work in progress like 2 nights ago, and that's the most I've done in like a month. It's just, it can be brutal sometimes, but when I hear other people start talking about what they're doing, I start to like get that buzz in my brain. It just starts to feel good.
I think that's like just a general like creative thing that we go through, because the same thing will happen to me. I'll literally be sitting there and I'll talk to you about like your writing or like your video, or talk to Jimmy, and I'm like, damn, I want to go make something. It's like that grind, that fire to create almost.
Yeah, and it's wild that like I think back and I'm like, dude, we've been doing this for too long. Maybe it's like time to like try something else. But then I think about it, I'm like, I turned 25 like 4 months ago, whatever, March, whatever that was. Time has been unreal for the last year and a half.
It really has.
I was like, but 25. Compared to some of the people whose content I love, I am a toddler. But I have all of this experience. And so I'm like, oh, never mind. What am I talking about? Exactly. Why am I psyching myself out? No, like, we just keep the pedal down.
Yeah.
Just keep making stuff. It's the only way I'm going to be happy anyway. Might as well do it.
Yeah. It's interesting listening back to, like, I've been listening to a lot of Eavesdrop and Optic podcasts. And, like, hearing Hector talk about, like, he didn't even start making Call of Duty content until I think he was, like, it was around 27. Yeah, around then. I hit 27 this year, so I mean, shit. This might be the year.
You never know, truly. Like, honestly, you don't know what piece of content was going to blow up. I mean, even, was it last year or maybe 2 years ago when you first started making those TikToks and, like,
That's about a year ago when it was doing during quarantine. I was really starting to hammer in those TikToks.
Yeah.
Some of them were
some of those were going crazy. It's like you just never know what's going to be the thing. I put out the personal essay that I wrote and put out on my website, tftos.com, if you want to read it. I just put that out there because I was like, I am feeling a lot of different kinds of anxiety recently. I've just been like, I have mental illness just like compounded in my head, but usually it doesn't get in the way of me making things. But it really was for a couple months. It just, everything I made, I was like, this isn't good. I don't like it. I'm not saying anything useful. Just delete it. Just delete it. I would record stuff, delete, never even put it out. And then I just started to write this random idea, and it started to like turn and take some interesting creative shape, and I was like, I'm going to create a website and make this like the first post. I put it out. That's the most response I've gotten to anything in like 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, I have friends who are like very good writers, and they were DMing me being like, wow, dude, you should do more of this. This was very good. And I was like, oh, I thought it was good. I liked it.
But you didn't think
But to get that feedback of someone else who I know that knows what they're talking about gave me the same thing as like showing you all a video or like a final edit and having everyone be like, oh yeah, I love this moment. Oh, that's great. Wow, what a good... That same like energy
Response.
feeds it and makes you want to go back and do another thing or respond however. Like it gets you back in the process. And that's also, I think, a reason why I've done so much stuff is that like I would make one good edit and like hear a comment from you or Brian or whoever, like, oh, that one was really good. And I'm like, I need that from every single time I press the cut button. Like, that's what I'm looking for. And then I went back and watched one of our Revolt videos where somebody in the comments was like, whoever edited this is a fucking beast. And I was like, thank you. Someone noticed. I've been trying for so long and someone noticed.
It's with how much we were literally talking about this last night, with how much we've been going and working. Not like we haven't really set foot in through the threshold.
We haven't really broken through with any individual piece of content. People know who we are now, and that's something in and of itself that like someone like what's Amanda the Jedi or whatever like knows that we're friends and like a lot of us live together and like that's a wild level of like intimacy in the community. Like I'm glad that we've broached that. And then there are people on like the writing side who like will come to me and ask me questions, usually not publicly, which is a sign of trust most often. It's not like you're just adding somebody and being like, hey, you might know this. And people DMing me specifically like, Alec, this is in your field of expertise. How can I do this? That's a very good feeling. It makes you feel like you've got like good karma or whatever built up in the scene or like whatever you're trying to do. And we have that from so many different angles of people that like actually appreciate us and like when we're around. That is so satisfying, but it is also like a little bit not like, I guess disheartening is the right word, where it's like you just put in so much and you just don't see it break through to that next level. I went through and you were in Discord, but I was rewatching a bunch of our stuff last night. Every video that I have on my computer still saved, I rewatched last night. Even pictures that I've taken, some that you've taken, were on my computer, and I was like, some of these, like, this should be the face of someone's company right now. Like, this picture that I'm looking at should be the advertising picture for this company. What?
How have we not?
How has it not happened? How have we not sold this stuff to someone? How have we not been placed in charge of doing this for someone? It blows my mind. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who need different things. There's a lot of people who are also doing this stuff. So, like, you don't take it to heart, really. You don't let it think, like, I'm not good enough to do this. You're just like, damn, the opportunity hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
That's the way that I've been looking at it, especially recently. Because I've been ghost. I've been doing my little freelance work. I've been doing some editing jobs, which... don't want to talk about that right now. I take a contract job for the first time in several years, and it goes very poorly. So I'll be freelancing probably till the end of time at this rate.
Is it the one previously from earlier this year, or is it what's happening recently?
Recently. Yeah, not great. But that same, like, when I'm looking at all of these stuff, or all of these things that we've done, and I'm like, I produced this video. Like, I can genuinely say, like, if I had added a producer tag at the end, everyone would have been okay with it. Like, that represents the work that I did. Or, like, a photo shoot where I'm like, oh, this came out really well. you did the lights, or Jimmy did the lights, or whatever. It's like, I look at all these things that we've done and how each person has contributed, and I'm just like, we are a production team, basically.
We really are. I'm gonna take a quick pause, so that way I can do a
yeah.
hard reset. Yup. And yup. Alright. Oh, wait, it has to, like, do its busy thing. Yep. So, for everybody who's unsure about what's going on, so, not only are we going to be recording this and putting this on Spotify, we're also going to be putting this on YouTube. It's going to be on my personal channel, youtube.com/clearlynotnick. You can watch it there, or for everybody who's on the YouTube, coincidentally, or maybe on Twitter, something like that, it's going to be on Spotify. It's going to be spotify.com. I'm really hoping to get The Creatives. I've actually looked at, like, the tags, and I don't see anybody using that one specifically.
I did Google last night The Creatives podcast, and I saw one result specifically, but I don't know if they were on Spotify or what they were using.
Yeah.
Stitcher, whatever. No clue. Don't know if it's even still active. I just saw one result and was like, cool. Should probably look into that. But
going back to you're
saying that, like,
producer,
as a group, that, like, all the stuff that I've become good at, there's a multitude of things that, like, everyone else around us, or around me, has gotten equally good at. And, like, particularly with lighting, like, Jimmy nails it every time.
Every single time.
He's incredibly good at it. I'm bad. Just straight up, like, compared to him, I am not good. I'm better than the average person. But, like, he just has an eye for it, and that's great. That's his thing. Hell yeah. A+, commendable. And having a team around you like that makes you, like I said, want to do better. Every time you see, like, oh, he killed the lighting in that, or, like, his audio is good, or his whatever, like, his edit, all of that just fuels this into, like, I want to do more.
Yep.
And I've spent a lot of this time talking about us as a whole, and not necessarily me, but, like, I've been in the mix for all these things. Anytime I'm, like, congratulating one of us, like, it's been a group effort all the way through. Me and Brian started a competitive Call of Duty channel, or podcast, I guess, together. It was my channel, but like, he had access to everything. He wrote on my blog. Like, we've been doing that stuff together for a while, and you did the graphics for it. And then Brian edited the podcast while it was there. It's just like, it was such a group effort, and we've done so much stuff that, like, it almost feels wrong to put my name over a thing specifically. To be like, oh, I made this. When in reality, it's like, no, I contributed to this. There's a lot of that, too, that I think helps keep me grounded. And that's nice. And another reason why, that, like, when I feel like if one of us earns an opportunity, it's just going to be, like, a breakaway the rest of the way. Because if that person needs help,
we'll be there.
We have the best team possible to do that. And that's not a position that a lot of people find themselves in. And I thought about that a lot last night. Just randomly thinking about content stuff. I was like, if something were to come tomorrow, if I was to land, like, one of these freelance jobs, and then they're like, hey, do you know somebody who can operate a camera? Do you know somebody who can X or Y? It's just like, yes, the answer is yes to all of them. And most of the time, the answer is the same person as I recommended for the other thing. So, really, you can hire 2 people and have a full production crew. Honestly.
Like, if it was like, you were Jimmy, you were me, you were... Like, pretty much, we're ready. And that's one of the good things, like anytime I'm having issues on something, like, you know who I should talk to? I should talk to Alec, I should talk to Jimmy, like, our friend group, like, specifically. And I know, like, we sort of get... Screwed is a good word, like, with everything you've dealt with, especially this past year.
The last year and a half has been a nightmare for me. And that truly is discouraging. That will kill your love for something really fast. But luckily, I have so many good distractions.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing that's getting me through. Not only am I, like, listening to other people's content, I live with someone who's constantly producing content, someone who's constantly throwing me ideas, asking me if he should do this or if he should do that. I have you asking, like, hey, what do you think of this edit or this, like, correction or this whatever. I have all these things that, like, can keep me busy, and then also we're good friends. That we can't. That's at the core of this thing. So, like, we're playing games together, we're watching stuff together. Like, every Wednesday night, Star Wars night in Jimmy's Discord, we literally just watch a Star Wars movie. Don't know what we're going to do afterwards, so the name Star Wars Night might be changing, but we only have 2 movies left, so, like, we're running out of options.
Wednesday Night Lights or something like
Something's
that.
Something's got to change. Yeah, I thought about that last night, too, and I was like,
What are we going to do?
Not a lot of foresight into naming it Star Wars Night.
I don't... I know though, like we've had like ups, a lot of downs, more than probably most. But like once we hit that pinnacle, once we hit that breakthrough moment where we've said we're getting there, we're finally like seeing progression, it's gonna be the greatest feeling in the whole wide world.
And that drives me sometimes. I'll be writing, like I'll be alone 3 a.m. writing on a novel, something that like you guys can't help me with. Mm-hmm. But I'll think about like, what if this does work though? What if what I'm writing right now is the thing that opens the door
to more possibilities,
to get my name out there, and then I can throw my weight behind like, hey, me and Nick have this idea, let's broach this company or whatever. And like every little thing like that, when I'm working, those kind of thoughts are like, you can't be doing this at 50%. You either have to put your nose to it and really get in there and like make it the best thing you can make, or don't bother. Yep. You've got 1,000 other things that you could be doing. If you're not taking this seriously, if this is not the one like goal is to make this incredible, why are you even here? Mm-hmm. And so like that's really motivating when you start to think about it that way, especially since this is like a long-term project. I've been writing the same book since the end of August of last year, I think. So we're coming up on a year straight of me working on this one story. And I'm like, it's not where it needs to be right now. Just brutally, I could have done better over the last year. But also, like, I'm whipping it into shape. I'm really taking the time to, like, make it good. And in the meantime, I'm building up podcasts and being on other people's shows. I'm putting my name out there as best as I can as a writer. And, like, I'm applying to other freelance jobs. And, like, I'm really spreading myself out on the other sides while this is, like, the main thing that I'm doing. I'm taking that Swiss Army knife ability and being like, oh, you need an editor? Cool. Yeah, I'll edit your video for X amount of dollars. That's great. I'll happily do that. Oh, you need a script writer? Yes. I will. Your next 10 YouTube videos, pay me to write them out. Happily do that. Doing like little stuff like that is fine for now. But in my head, I'm like, I'm using this as a refining experience. Yep. And eventually, I'll be able to get everybody together. We're going to put it all into like whatever's the thing that works. The first time we get a breakthrough, all in, and we'll be ready. And it's not going to be a luck thing. It's going to be a preparation thing. And that's how it's felt for the last couple of years. It's like, I know we're good at this. A pandemic will definitely slow things down. People don't need certain types of services. That's fine. Thankfully, I've had my writing to like keep me sane through all of it.
That's what I'll definitely say. I've read a little bit of your writing, and oh my gosh, I think I read one of your chapters that you sent me. It was like probably right around in the middle of the book. You'd sent me like one of the Google Doc. It was whenever you put it on Facebook. Yeah. You're like, anybody who wants to read this a little bit, here's this, and I was like, yo, let me take a look at that. And I think it was only probably a page and a half. Actually, it was about 3 pages.
It was like 2.5 pages. I think. Yeah.
That was bomb.
And that scene itself has stayed mostly the same. But I've made everything around it better, and I'm going to go back and redo that. Because like, I reread that again not that long ago, and it's like, it's good, but I see where it's not the best it could be. So like already I'm making that transition to like make things better. That's really what the last couple months have been about. And it's like, if I can get that reaction out of everybody, being like, oh, this is actually
super solid,
pretty solid, that's fine. That's all I'm aiming for on this go around. Is it like, because the first one I read it, was like, ooh, this is broken. It doesn't even work. Like, it's missing huge chunks of story. Second time around, I'm filling in the dots. I'm making it more cohesive, and I'm like, it won't be great, but it'll be something that you could read from page 1 to page, I think it's going to end up on like page 300 and something. Yeah. And be like, okay, needs some love, but the story's there. That's what the goal is right now. And then on the third one, it'll be like, okay, let's make this good. Let's the best that I can make it before I send it off to someone else to edit and pay them an exorbitant amount of money, unfortunately, to improve it. It's I ran some numbers the other day, and I'm not happy.
Ooh.
But
I didn't think it would be. Well,
it's expensive.
Really, I could probably assume, especially for getting somebody who's been in the field for quite a long time.
That's really what it is. Like, these people make their living off of it, so each client has to be like a significant source of income. So it'll
be worth it in the end, though, because whenever you get it back, you'll be able to make the adjustments.
Feedback itself is more than enough to be worth it, for sure.
Oh yeah.
But just the saving up for that is going to be brutal. But whatever.
Whenever you get there, it'll be
I'm happy to go through the process. It's a good thing. Like once that's a benchmark kind of thing. I'm like, oh, I got this to an editor, and whatever they say about it is what they say about it, whether they like it or not.
Just go from there.
But like, let's just make it good. And if this isn't the one, I got the experience on how to write something, and maybe the next one will be the one. And like that's the goal right now. I've realized that we've had a lot of time to like prepare stuff and like to have a good mentality about creating things, and now the next couple of years are going to be about employing that mentality. It's like we learned how to do it. We're no longer amateurs.
No, this
is like crunch time. This is really like putting it out there. That's where I'm at for at least the next 2 or 3 years, if I had to imagine.
I was gonna especially watching you grow as like just a general creative person, like not just a producer, not just a writer, but as a person who lives to create. Like, it's been so interesting watching, like, your progression, like, photographer, videographer, producer, like, now professional writer. I would classify you as that. So it's going to be really exciting to see, like, where you go from there. See, like, what other jobs you take.
I hope it's all up from here, because the last year and a half has been...
The pandemic has been really...
But, like, to shed some light, like, I got a deal to put out a graphic novel, basically, and did all the work to write it, and then... Just a couple months behind its release, basically the deal fell apart. A bunch of stuff was shady. A lot of things just didn't work out. And so to lose something like that in the middle of a pandemic is already crushing. That was really not great. And then also my artist on that book, Jesse Bowerman, his wife got pregnant, and that became like their focus for a while. So like everything was like, hey, maybe we're gonna like buy this thing back and like put it out ourselves. Now that needs to go on pause because he's working on being a parent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, completely understandable. That's fine. Love that for him. Very good. But like to have that, like it flittered back in for a moment where he's like, I might just be able to buy the rights back out. Full stop. Just get it to us. No longer worried about this other company. And then that goes on pause. And you're like, okay, well.
Crap.
Yeah, I gotta just focus on this other stuff. It's been hard. That part has definitely been difficult. But then, like I said, to wake up every day and still be like, that's fine, because that's only one story that I want to tell, and I've got 1,000 more, whether it's going to be through a podcast, or whether it's going to be through writing a book, or, you know, creating another documentary series, which I really want to, man. I don't know.
I've been having that itch, too. I'm not going to lie. There's been something that's like, go out and, like, start recording. Actually, I'll probably say it off. I'll say it off podcast. There's stuff on Murray campus, sort of, like, following, like, a certain group. I feel like you might know what I'm talking about. It's in our realm of what we do.
Yeah, I think I have the idea.
I think doing that would be, I was thinking about it the other day, like, damn, that would be pretty cool. So we might have to play around with that idea. But no, like, shooting a docuseries, that was really fun whenever we were doing it.
We've done, like, 3 individual attempts at it, and I found some footage that I didn't even realize I still had on my computer last night that I was like, this is the essence of it. I had to cut, like, most of it was excerpts. It was stuff that could not have made it into the doc.
Oh, yeah.
Because not because it was, like, bad or offensive or anything. It was just, like, irrelevant stuff. It would have... But the moments that we captured, like, there's a video I have from Jimmy's senior recital, which I was filming a small, like, doc for. And it's just a video of you dancing into the room. You're just doing this into the room. And it's, like, my favorite shot of my entire, like, filmography or whatever you want to call it. Like, I love it so much for no reason. It's just like, I'm panning down, and you just happen to walk right in front of my shot, just bouncing your shoulders. I think you had your tongue out. This is great. It's fantastic. But, like, those little moments where I was like, this is the essence of what I loved about filming something. And I want to do it again so bad, but I just don't have anything. I thought about maybe, like, recording one for this book that I'm writing. But, like, I'm a year and a half into the process. I feel like I missed the launch pad. I don't know.
If you start doing another one, that'd be really sick. I don't think any other authors, well, maybe any other author, but somebody who's doing like
not anybody that I've known can do it. I think it could be really cool.
Yeah,
there are people doing like daily vlogs and stuff where they're updating every day. Like, oh, I put in 1,000 words and I'm doing this. And like, I want to shoot like a legitimate like
full
film, a documentary about it.
Of course, of like I don't know, like 2-3 years.
It would probably be a multi-year process.
That would be great. Like hour-long documentary, just detailing like the grueling nights, the good days. Oh, that'd be sick.
I really want to do it, actually. And I have, after the podcast, I'll pitch you on this idea for my next book, which I'm already returning. Yeah, I think we might have some shit to do later.
He's spitting. I like that. All right, so on that note, I think this is going to be a good time to...
Yeah, we just
cut a
reeled it in.
podcast. Yeah, let's reel it on in. So, yeah, thank you all so much for coming on by, listening to the podcast. This is episode 1 of The Creatives. This is my buddy, Alec Millins. Life is Alec on Twitter.
Yep.
What was your website again? It was
tftos.com, Thoughts from the Other Side. You can find a couple of essays there. More stuff will be coming in the next few months. I don't know how up... This is definitely a hobby thing. I'm not, like, putting it all on that. But if you want to find me, yeah, Twitter's the best way, at Life as Alec.
That was that title too, like Thoughts from the Other Side. That's a book title right there too. Let's
May or may not have thought about making this a series of essays that I self-publish later in the year, but we're not here yet. We're not here yet. Not here to talk about that yet.
There's so much good stuff that's like happening. I know, like with all the downs, like that up, it's not just going to be like a casual up. It's going to be
incredible when we can come back to this podcast and be like, remember when we were talking about this moment, when we're living in that moment?
Yup.
That's going to be great.
Maybe one day we can all just get like, I don't know, Content House again. That Content House, like we were all like at a moment thriving.
That was for a while there. That was wild. Truly an insane schedule. But we shouldn't.
Yeah. Otherwise we're going to keep on tucking. All right. Thank you all so much for coming by the podcast. This has been Creatives episode 1, and I hope to see you all back once again soon. Y'all have a good one. Stay classy.